Have you ever wondered why trillion-dollar corporations like NVIDIA or Intel are pouring money into Vietnam, Malaysia, and Singapore so quickly? This is not just about building factories. A historic migration is taking place, where Southeast Asia is no longer a plan B, but is becoming the new heart of the global supply chain. In today's video, we will decode why the world is betting its technological future on this region. Before we begin, please give our team a like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any interesting questions or topics you would like us to cover, leave a comment below this video. And now, let's dive into the story. To fully understand the entire story, let's go back to the past together. Before the whole world turned its attention towards Southeast Asia as the new chip factory of humanity, trillion-dollar semiconductor corporations had already rushed into a race to build megafactories in the United States. TSMC invested tens of billions of USD into Arizona to build 5nm and 3nm fabs, transforming the area into a new strategic chip manufacturing hub. Meanwhile, Samsung Electronics planned to invest nearly 200 billion USD in Texas with a series of massive semiconductor factories. At the same time, Intel also spent heavily on manufacturing complexes in Ohio in an effort to reclaim its position amid the global AI and semiconductor war. To get the full picture, we'll quickly go through 6 major aspects, starting with the deeply invested giants that are emotional and vulnerable to collapse, the brutal challenges ahead, a massive boost coming from AI, and the reason why Southeast Asia has become the chosen destination. After that, we'll take a look at a rising star in the region, and finally discuss the fascinating balance of this neutral battlefield. Part 1, the silent monster, where the real giants are actually hiding. Normally, whenever people talk about chips, the media instantly brings up China or Taiwan, right? But the truth is that Southeast Asia has quietly housed hidden giants for more than a decade already. The division of roles here is extremely sharp. Looking at Malaysia, the country is currently handling around 10% of the global semiconductor packaging and testing market. At first, many people think this is just support work, but in reality, it is one of the most critical stages. A chip cannot simply be sold immediately after manufacturing. It still has to go through defect testing, thermal checks, stability verification, and many other processes before it can finally be placed inside an iPhone, an electric vehicle, or an AI server. And Malaysia is currently one of the best places in the world at doing exactly that. That is why giants like Intel and Infineon established deep roots there very early on. Meanwhile, Singapore is more like a silent tycoon. Instead of focusing heavily on assembly, the country positions itself as the technological brain of the region, pouring money into R&D, wafer fabrication, and AI infrastructure. One of the clearest examples is the massive projects by Micron Technology to manufacture HBM and NAND memory for AI applications. Clearly, Southeast Asia no longer wants to remain just a low-cost manufacturing hub. The region is beginning to demand a seat at the same table as the world's major technology powers. One of the easiest examples to see is the iPhone you are holding in your hand right now. Apple's A-series chip may be designed in the United States and manufactured as wafers in Taiwan by TSMC, but afterward, many packaging and testing processes are actually carried out in Malaysia or Singapore before the product is shipped out. Likewise, Intel invested billions of USD into Penang, Malaysia many years ago to build chip packaging and testing centers. Meanwhile, Micron Technology in Singapore is producing NAND and HBM memory, the extremely important memory technologies used for AI, including servers running ChatGPT and GPUs made by NVIDIA. In other words, many modern technology devices around the world still have to pass through Southeast Asia at some point in the supply chain before reaching consumers. But wait, everything is not entirely perfect. To become a truly independent semiconductor power, Southeast Asia is still facing walls that can only be described as enormous. The first challenge is the workforce problem. Many people assume that building a semiconductor fab is just like opening a regular industrial park. As long as you have enough money, everything can be done. But this industry has an enormous hunger for highly skilled engineers. It requires experts in chip design, semiconductor materials, AI, and precision engineering, all extremely difficult skill trees to master. Money can build a factory worth several billion USD within a few years, but training an engineering workforce that is truly skilled enough is a challenge that requires much more time to solve. The second issue is electricity, and this is the real barrier. A single semiconductor production batch consumes an enormous amount of energy. Even a power fluctuation lasting just a few seconds can instantly destroy wafers worth millions of USD. Here's an example so you can truly see the massive scale of this industry. Alone, TSMC currently consumes around 8% of Taiwan's total electricity supply in 2024, and that number could rise to 11 to 12% by 2030. TSMC's factories used approximately 25.55 billion kilowatt of electricity in just 1 year to operate fabs, cooling systems, and EUV machines. As for human resources, Malaysia aims to train as many as 60,000 semiconductor engineers by 2030. However, by the end of 2025, the country had only trained around 13,679 highly skilled engineers for the chip industry. And finally, the region still lacks core technologies such as EUV lithography machines from ASML. Based on the information I found, each ASML EUV machine currently costs around 250 to 380 million USD, weighs more than 150 tons, and must be transported using multiple Boeing 747 aircraft. This is an almost monopolized technology required for manufacturing advanced AI chips below the 5-nanometer process. Next comes part 3, the AI boom. This is the catalyst that is breaking every traditional rule. In the past, semiconductors mainly served smartphones and laptops. But once AI exploded, especially after the breakthrough of OpenAI, the entire game began spiraling beyond control. Now it is no longer just about making computers faster. It has become a battle over who possesses more computing power. For AI to become truly intelligent, it requires gigantic data centers, massive computing factories packed with tens of thousands of GPUs running non-stop day and night. To train powerful AI models, companies need high-end GPUs from NVIDIA, high-speed HBM memory chips, ultra-powerful servers, and most importantly, electricity, a huge amount of electricity. Some AI data centers consume as much electricity as an entire small city. As a result, the hotter the AI industry becomes, the faster global energy costs expand exponentially. And it is exactly this bottomless hunger for space and electricity that has created a historic turning point. Southeast Asia is no longer just an outsourcing factory, but is now rising as the foundational infrastructure for the entire global AI economy. The clearest example is the massive AI projects of Microsoft and OpenAI. To operate ChatGPT and train new AI models, they must use tens of thousands of NVIDIA H100 GPUs inside gigantic data centers. A single modern AI cluster alone can consume electricity equivalent to tens of thousands of households. Likewise, Singapore has now become a major hotspot for data center construction in Asia. Giants such as Google, Amazon Web Services, and Microsoft are all pouring money into AI data centers there because the country's network infrastructure, electricity systems, and logistics are exceptionally strong. Meanwhile, Malaysia is emerging thanks to its large land reserves and cheaper electricity costs. Johor is currently experiencing a boom in AI-focused data center projects, to the point where many experts now call it the new data center capital of Southeast Asia. Next comes part 4. Why Southeast Asia instead of somewhere else? To answer that, we need to step back and look at the broader global economic picture. There is a definition that fits perfectly. Semiconductors today are the new oil of the 21st century. From smartphones and electric vehicles to AI systems and modern weapons, everything must consume this electronic oil in order to function. And precisely because semiconductors have become so important, the entire world has started desperately searching for safer manufacturing locations. Isn't it ironic? In the past, Southeast Asia was viewed merely as a low-cost factory, specializing in outsourced electronics manufacturing. But now it has suddenly become a strategic hotspot, where the United States, China, Japan, and countless technology corporations are competing to build closer relationships. The first reason is very simple. China is no longer cheap. Land prices have increased, wages have risen, and operational costs continue climbing, leaving many companies sweating when they look at their cost sheets. As a result, Southeast Asia now appears like a giant advertising banner, offering young labor forces, lower costs, and extremely attractive tax incentives. But the truly frightening part is that this region is not only cheap, it is also positioned in what can only be described as a golden location. Southeast Asia sits right between China, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea, allowing supply chains to operate extremely smoothly. Governments across ASEAN are also rolling out the red carpet, offering massive subsidies to attract major technology corporations to the region. One of the clearest examples is the China Plus One wave over the past few years. A large number of corporations such as Apple, Samsung Electronics, and Intel have started shifting part of their manufacturing operations out of China and into Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. For example, Apple has already expanded its supply chain in Vietnam through partners such as Foxconn and Luxshare to produce AirPods, iPads, and various electronic components. Meanwhile, Intel has invested more than 1.5 billion USD into its chip assembly and testing facilities in Vietnam. As for Malaysia, the country is becoming the back-end capital of the semiconductor industry, where companies like Infineon and Texas Instruments continue expanding their semiconductor factories. Next comes Part 5, the rising star, Vietnam's extremely rapid rise. If searching for Vietnam on the global semiconductor map a few years ago felt like searching for a needle in a haystack, then look at the situation now. Vietnam has gone from being a background character to gradually moving toward the center of the global technology map. After COVID and the US-China technology trade war, many corporations became alarmed by how dependent they were on China. As a result, they shifted toward a supply chain diversification strategy, and Vietnam immediately entered their spotlight. Now it is no longer just about attracting low-value assembly operations. Major corporations from every layer of the semiconductor ecosystem are flooding into the country. Intel, Samsung Electronics, Synopsys High Amkor Technology đều đã hiện diện mạnh mẽ. Intel, Samsung Electronics, Synopsys, and Amkor Technology have all established a strong presence. And as you already know, once a single major corporation enters, the entire supply chain, from suppliers and logistics to raw materials, immediately follows like a massive domino effect. But Vietnam's greatest secret weapon is actually its people. Tens of thousands of technology and engineering graduates entering the workforce every year have become an extremely rare gold mine at a time when the entire world is suffering from a severe semiconductor labor shortage. Let me give you a number to prove my point. Samsung Electronics is currently operating manufacturing complexes in Vietnam with total investment capital exceeding 10.6 billion USD in Bắc Ninh alone, creating jobs for approximately 44,600 workers. In the chip packaging sector, Amkor Technology has invested around 1.6 billion USD into its factory in Bắc Ninh, with the goal of becoming one of the largest OSAT centers in the region. In addition, the ecosystem now includes more than 50 foreign semiconductor companies operating in Vietnam, spanning chip design, manufacturing, and testing. This is gradually creating a complete supply chain ecosystem instead of isolated assembly operations. And finally, we arrive at Part 6, the neutral battlefield, where geopolitics controls the semiconductor game. Two superpowers are pouring money into the same region, but with completely opposite objectives. The United States is pursuing the China Plus One strategy to reduce supply chain risks, while China is expanding into Southeast Asia to bypass technology restrictions. As a result, Southeast Asia is now benefiting from this highly profitable opportunity. A simple example. The United States, through its China Plus One strategy, is encouraging companies like Apple, Intel, and NVIDIA to shift parts of their supply chains to Vietnam and Singapore. Meanwhile, China is also pushing companies such as BYD and Luxshare to expand into Vietnam, Thailand, and Malaysia in order to bypass trade and technology restrictions. As a result, Malaysia has become one of the world's largest chip packaging centers, handling around 13% of the global market, while Singapore has evolved into a major Asian data center hub. This has effectively turned Southeast Asia into the meeting point of both technological capital flows. Thank you everyone for following today's analysis. Keep digging deeper into these ideas, because this massive global game is truly only at its opening stage.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel. Bye bye.